Hello, welcome to another recording from Electronoob. I'm not sure how well you can see that. I think the focus is generally pretty good on this, but the lighting's not so good, so we'll see. So what I've done is I've just soldered on, practically just tacked on a piece of wire to one of the contacts on an SD card, MicroSD card in fact. Unfortunately though, this MicroSD card broke while I was trying to work with it, so yeah. But anyway, the plan was to solder on a series of wires across here and then join that to a standard SD card. I was just curious if I could actually solder and do this kind of connection by hand, and it's been really difficult actually. To solder this on wasn't hard at all, but I had some other revisions where I was trying to work with this copper tape and actually create the tracks, should I say. Here's my micro ruler from EEV blog, and what I did was I actually started to shape an SD card into it, as you may and may not be able to see by the video. I hope you can. But and then place some copper tape just on there, and then sort of across there like that, and then cut the tracks out with a knife. And it was just, as you can imagine, pointless. It really was a waste of my time. But I kept trying and trying and trying, because I thought, you know what, I was kind of having fun anyway, even though it was a little bit laborious. Anyway, I failed. Epic failure. So I'm showing you this just in case I actually continue. I'm also testing out a 2 gig, I know, not very big, 2 gig SD card that I found lying around. So the initial reason for this was that I've got a 32 gigabyte SD card, but I don't have any big micro SD cards. So I was actually just going to make an adapter and then connect up the 32 gig card, maybe even put it inside the housing so it's just all one contained unit still. But anyway, that was pretty much the idea. But yeah, soldering to that, it's actually it's not that bad. But what I did was, as a way of kind of like a heat sink, and to stop the solder spreading all the way across the pin, because I happen to know that even with a bit of solder there, even though I've cleaned it with a knife to try and flatten it out, etc., that's actually going to be raised too high probably, and when I put it in the machine it's going to hit a pin and it's just going to be an absolute nightmare. So that's why I haven't done any more yet. I'm still musing over what I might do. But anyway, what I did was I strapped a piece of copper across here and a piece across here, and then I just had a very small window for which I could then place the solder through. So basically I created like a solder mask, although solder did stick to the copper, but that wasn't a problem because as you raised it up it just sort of peeled off, so that wasn't a problem. And then I just cleaned it up with a knife, as I say. But I don't know how well that's going to come out in the recording. I'm kind of hoping it comes out quite good. I'll have a look in a moment. So that's kind of on hold for a minute until I decide on a better solution. Maybe I should just buy a micro SD card. I'm being stubborn, and I'm curious really, because it's quite hard to do, so it's quite fun. So yeah, who knows. Anyway, thanks for listening, watching, and all that cool stuff. Hiya, Electronoob here. So the SD card, micro SD card to SD card thing I was trying to do. Yeah, stupid idea. I've given up on that now. Tried loads of things, couldn't do it. Ugh. But anyway, another project I've been working on is this. So you got your Arduino speaker. That's just for debugging actually. Hall effect sensor. The lights and crap in here, I know. Maybe that will help. I'm not sure. An array of rare earth magnets, which are pretty strong, as you will see there. Okay, so this is part of the sort of DIY DJ mixer project that I've had in mind for a while, and I keep coming back to it. This is the latest revision, just testing out the hardware idea and the software, and again, it's not complete now, but it's in what is in mind is for scratch artists, turntablists, people who tend to do a lot of fader movements, rapid speeds. This thing is so loose, it's horrible. I did do some 3D printing of some parts, and they came out really, really bad. So bad, in fact, that I hate 3D printers at the moment. So that was to replace these blocks, which are for kitchen cabinets I found in a hardware store. And then there was a hole there for the Hall effect sensor to go in, etc. This was one of the revisions. I don't know if you can tell because of the fisheye effect on this camera, distorts everything anyway, but yeah, it just printed out quite distorted, and later on I tried to make a larger piece which represented this height here. Yeah, it didn't come out well at all. It looked like I don't know, I used to work as a baker many years ago, and we used to reheat, or what's the right word, you'd get cookies and various things in frozen format which you would then bake, and they'll just kind of look squidgy and runny almost, you know, and that's just what reminds me of these 3D prints. It's just diabolical rubbish. Anyway, so what do we have? At the moment for debugging, we've got the beep. What you'll notice is the first light that comes on is this red one here. You may notice that noise as it goes from really noisy to a solid beep. That's because it's measuring distance between the Hall effect sensor and the neodymium magnet. So for a scratch artist, I mean, there are times where you want more movement on here than that, but for a lot of the stuff I ever did, I just wanted a few millimeters. So from that position to that position maybe, or there to there. Something like that. But because the carriage, because this part of the carriage is, sorry, is that carriage or is that on the carriage? I'm not sure, but you know, this here is just insanely loose. I've tried to pack it out and things, but I haven't got anything to hand right now to make that any better. Again, I may try and 3D print again, but I'm just really unhappy with 3D printers at the moment. And okay, so let me see. Let's test my Morse code skills. No, that's not. Forget it. I'm really out of practice. Out of practice? No, I've never been any good anyway. I keep trying to learn, but I haven't tried in a few weeks to learn again. What am I thinking? I don't know. Anyway, later on I'll add a sound source of some description. My DJing turntables aren't here. Well, I've only got one at the moment now, actually, and it's from my friend's house. Want to do that, then I'll feed that into something to trigger an amplifier to give you a sort of ramped up volume up until it reaches that point. So say from like there, from there to there on the opposite side would ramp up in volume rapidly, and same again on the closure of that. Anyway, that's my DIY DJ crossfader project that's still in the making. Oh, the cool thing is as well, because it's obviously a microcontroller, what I've done as well is, I don't know if it can be seen on here, We've got the sensor value here, and I've set it to 24 at the moment. That's quite a nice setting, I've noticed. I can change that and bring it down to about 9, which then closes the gap even further. In fact, maybe I'll do that now. So less than or equal to 9. Let's do an upload, compiling, sending it to the machinery. Okay, and now you'll see now that the red light is already on, and the gap between everything is even closer than before. You can no doubt hear that noise too, which means it's not quite triggering well enough. What I can do is I can bring the sensor a little bit closer, and again, yeah, it's not quite right. What I will need to do, if you can hear that beeping, is because the value that the microcontroller is detecting from this sensor keeps vibrating up and down. It sort of, the voltage goes up and down, up and down. So I'm thinking I'm going to need some kind of filtering on that, and I'll probably do that in software, but I don't know. That side of things is quite new to me, so we'll see. Before I forget that, I'll just set this back to 24. Compiling, loading. It's quite nice though, you'll be able to modify this on the fly. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. One other thing actually is quite interesting. If I do, what I should possibly do is, I'm just going to turn the tone around. So, in other words, when this is over here, it's silent. It's not until you come away that it beeps, which is more like how I would normally use the turntables and the DJing equipment. Is I would turn the sound on as I come this way, because if you imagine it in this direction, so I'd be going on. So at the moment it's inverted, which some would call the hamster. It's just backwards. Let's paste that. Okay, so I've switched it now. You'll notice as the code uploads, it's gone silent. Again, I'm not sure if I put the camera too close to all of this stuff. Okay, I can't hear anything from the speaker. The light's on, so it's detected that it's closed. That's better. Perfect. There you go. So that's the project in progress at the moment. I hope to get more done, but I think I'm going to pack that away and pick it up again another day. Probably when I have access to a 3D printer again. I may possibly attack that again tomorrow, but right now I'm happy that there's some progress having been made. Anyway, I'm pressing the button to stop recording now, so bye. Hiya. Hello. Please remember to subscribe, thumbs up, like, +1, whatever, and if you feel like it, comment. I realise Google Plus is a bit, so don't comment, I understand, but subscribe and like.